Day one of college lacrosse in one of the most historic venues in the college game. Can it get much better than this? It's the two-time defending America East champion Vermont Catamounts against the Syracuse Orange inside the Dome. Happy opening day, and thanks for spending part of your Saturday with us. With John Eads, I'm Cameron Ezeir. Syracuse a season ago, atypical of 4-10 year, and this is going to be a shootout against a Vermont team that won a conference championship last season.
Yeah, a Syracuse team that didn't have the season it wanted last year, but a big infusion of young, new talent trying to reinvent this Syracuse team. On the other side, Vermont expects to win the America East every year now, but the next challenge is winning games like this in the non-conference to set themselves up for success come March.
They'll look to make it a conference three-peat without their top three scorers from last season. Fortunately for them, they have number 4. That's David Closterman.
Guy that's known as the backbone and the heartbeat of this team came back for a 5th year, and that was his decision, Cam. America East All-Conference first teamer last year. You'll see him play the X position for Vermont today, and he's the quarterback of that unit.
Syracuse so fortunate to have this guy back. It's one of the best freshmen in the country a couple of years ago, Owen Hiltz.
Didn't play a single game last year, but you think back to his freshman year, carved up Vermont, and pretty much everybody that Syracuse played. A guy that's from Canada, has a background in box lacrosse, can finish in tight spaces, also has deceptive speed and can beat you to the rack.
But John, the most hype surrounds Joey Spallina, the best recruit in the country.
Guy that has worn 22 for years and is a born goal scorer, has played the X position. Now, besides all the on-the-field stuff, he is known best for his work ethic. He's a very hard worker, and he has big expectations as the number 1 recruit and the guy that's going to, what many think, change the narrative around this team. But Coach Gates says he's ready for that challenge.
We'll check out the goalies. Will Mark for Syracuse, the Long Island University transfer, played a couple of seasons at LIU. Be a mainstay today, led the country in saves per game in 2020 and 2021. For Vermont, another new face. It's Matt Schaefer, the grad student.
Schaefer emerged in that battle. Coach Chris Fifes told us that it was a battle between a couple of different players, and he was the one that kind of separated himself. But he said, hey, don't forget, those young guys right behind you are nipping at your heels. They want your job. So Schaefer's going to have to come in today and perform well.
Known as the quarterback of the defense, they like to treat him as the 7th defender. Vermont and Syracuse matching up for just the 2nd time in their program histories. The first just a couple of years ago in 2021. That was an Orange win.
It was an explosive game, too. Syracuse scored 10 goals in the first half. Goalie play was tremendous. Drake Porter had 20 saves in that game. But the key, to me, was what Stephen Rafis did. Former Syracuse player, had 8 points in that game, and he played the X position. That's why it's so critical to have a good X player if you're Syracuse today.
And a focal point for Gary Gate. Has his number in the rafters, 2nd season as SU's head coach after a 4-10 season, the first 10-loss season in SU program history. On the other side, Chris Fifes has revitalized this Catamount program in his 7th year, 2nd all-time with 49 wins, and is the most conference wins in program history. Fifes grew up idolizing Gary Gate. He loves the Canadian style of box lacrosse, boxing in the game, playing condensed. And now in Syracuse, Rachusa and Burke at the face-off X, and Vermont wins the first one. Syracuse, great job sticking with it.
Yeah, Rachusa lost the face-off, but then stays with it, hunts down that ground ball, and that might be the difference in this game. Who wins more of those opportunities at the face-off X? Whether it be Tommy Burke winning clean, Syracuse winning clean, or just fighting to get those loose balls like that one.
Michael Leo, the freshman, 22 new players on Syracuse. Top of Finn Thomson, 5th-rated recruit in this past class. Hiltz to X. This is the name. Spallina misses over to the right. And a crease violation. Vermont takes over.
It's a great move. Got free to his inside hand, beat the defender. That's the shot you want. And had he scored, that would have been a goal, but instead he landed on that paint, and that's a turnover. But still, no goal there, but a great sight to see if you're Syracuse, because you didn't really have a player that could make a move like that on last year's team.
Vermont a bit antsy. They get out of the fray. Big hit by Canfield, the all-conference player a year ago. This is what you expect in the first game of the season. One pass and a strike, and Jackson Birtwistle over to the left. Birtwistle, 13 goals in the final 4 games of last season.
Really came on strong in that final stretch. That pass coming from Saam Olexo, a converted long stick midfielder who scored a couple of goals last year. He loves to spark this offense, and he nearly did right there for Syracuse.
Leo, the freshman. Pass it back. It's dropped by Birtwistle. Birtwistle on the first line of the midfield, and Michael Leo joining him. A young midfield with Finn Thomson. That's 2 freshmen on the first line of middies for SU.
So maybe you expect a couple mistakes from those young players, but Birtwistle's the guy that dropped the ball there, and he played a lot of time last year.
A rifling shot. It's stopped by Mark. Well, Mark, his first career save in orange.
And that's career save number 500.
Ball goes Vermont's way. Nick Akamo tried to clear. Great job on the ride for Vermont. Yeah, Will Mark, 499 saves at LIU. One of the most prolific goalies in the country for a team that was transitioning from a D2 to a D1 program, and that's number 500. Derek Marsilio, the D3 transfer at X. Vermont last season won 10 of its final 11 games, won its first ever NCAA tournament game, won its second consecutive conference championship. Fennick spins away. The shot is blocked down. Great save. And that's off the stick of Brock Haley, one of the best players on Vermont, the 5th leading scorer last season.
Will Mark off to an incredible start. That's a non-dominant stick side save. That is a tough one to make, and he's also already saved one with his leg as well. Goaltending play was a struggle last year for Syracuse, but he's off to an excellent start.
You remember a couple years ago against Vermont, Syracuse goalie Drake Porter had 20 of them. Will Mark already with a couple today.
Those 20 saves, the most by a Syracuse goalie since 2007. Vermont outshot Syracuse in that game. So it was on Porter to win that game for Syracuse, and with his performance he did, Mark might have to do the same thing today.
A ripper by Hunter falls down to the turf, and Vermont stays with it. Feels like it's been 3 possessions within 1 for the Catamounts.
Long possession, but a patient possession too. Vermont's waiting for the best possible shot, and if not for Mark making some incredible saves, they could already have a goal.
From X, and a shot that misses wide. The chase, won by Vermont. The referee stopped for a second. I think he fooled everyone. Fooled me. About to point one way and then pointed the other.
The energy was building from the stands of that being Syracuse's possession. Great hustle by Brandon Aviles. And the shot clock reset there. The officials are pointing at the clock. I don't think it should have reset because no shot was saved after that last Mark save a couple stages ago, and that shot also did not hit the pipe or anything like that. So it should be back down under 30 seconds, but still Vermont possession.
Marsilio on the chase with Aviles. Something you'll learn about number 43 in white for the Orange is Brandon Aviles. He is a bulldog. He'll run after those loose balls.
He'll also be a bulldog in the offensive end, too. He scored 4 goals last year. Check that, 3 goals last year. Point still stands. He loves to get involved in transition and score. There's the shot clock. So 36 seconds instead of 71. But no less. This has been a very, very long possession for Vermont, and a nice way to settle in for the Catamounts.
5 shots on this one possession for Vermont. The freshman, it's Charles Huntley. Haley, one-on-one with the Aviles. Haley gets rid of it. This is the star, Closterman. Expected to be the leading goal scorer, and then throws it away. What a raucous start to this one, a packed JMA Wireless Dome.
That's a rare mistake from Closterman. He's the quarterback of this offense, one of the best passers in the America East Conference. I'd argue one of the best passers in the country. Offline there with an easy routine pass. Now Syracuse gets possession back. The Orange return the favor with a Birtwistle turnover last time. Let's see if they can settle in a little bit.
Closterman, you mentioned his passing prowess, had 36 assists last season. Now, I say packed JMA Dome because, of course, this place can fit over 50,000. You don't expect that kind of crowd, but for day one, it's looking pretty good.
First day of lacrosse season. Everybody's excited. The basketball team's out playing Boston College. What else would you rather be doing on a Saturday afternoon?
To X with Spallina. Pass in front. Great save. Schaefer right there. Comes Vermont on the clear, and it's out of there. Great clear by Alvidi. In transition, bounces past the goal mouth.
Well, that was a great look for Syracuse on offense. Spallina doing everything you want your ex-player to do, finding Alex Simmons, the Denver transfer, wide open, but a great save by Matt Schaefer to negate it.
These goalies standing on their heads right now.
Must be something about goalie play when these two teams play, because so far it's very reminiscent to that 2021 matchup.
Ryan Cornell, Conference Defensive Player of the Year last season. He graduated, but it was the first Conference Defensive Player of the Year in Vermont program history. He's gone. You bring in Schaefer as a grad student. Marsilio. Vermont last season 4-6 away. Only lost one game at home. This has been a struggle.
Also averaged over 13 goals per game, which led the America East Conference.
Closterman finds his man. Great save. Will Mark already his sixth save.
Not an excellent shot from Vermont. This is Brock Haley. A submarine shot, but it sticks side high. That's easy pickings for Will Mark.
Make it 3 saves. That's already up to 6 shots for Vermont. Marsilio trying to get out of the scrum.
Hey, I'm on.
The LSM, Landon Clary, tosses it away.
That was an excellent ride by Syracuse and nearly resulted in possession. You can already see kind of the ferocity, really, of both teams. Got to give both teams credit, fighting for these loose balls. For Syracuse, a team trying to prove itself early. Vermont trying to show everybody around the nation that, yeah, we can make the NCAA tournament. Now we want to take down one of the big dogs.
Vermont 0-6 in the last 12 years against ACC teams. Closterman gets to the cage and loses it in the crease.
Landon Clary on the adjacent slide there, which means he was the player nearest to that ball. No slide from crease. Instead, Clary sloughs in and gets stick on hands there to force that takeaway. That's great defense. That's great communication. Everything that Coach Petromala said he wanted his unit to improve on this year.
I remember Landon Clary from the past that was sent to the shot heard around the world. Tucker Dordovic against Duke last year on March 26th. Between his legs, he was also on his back face to the goal. That was actually the last game Syracuse won.
Yep.
They lost their last 6. Leo to Spallina. Goalie comes out. Schaefer challenges Spallina and it works.
It's a smart play, and now Spallina not at X, and Syracuse will have to reset.
Great defense by number 48, Danny Manning. Shot clock down to 20. Still no score. Spallina. 10 to shoot.
He's got the short stick.
Pass it back. The ripper. And it misses. Syracuse wins the chase.
But only 6 seconds on the shot clock, so got to go quick here.
Birtwistle around the cage. Leaked into the crease. Still no score. 6:46 to go in the first. Nearly 9 minutes into this game. And no score between Vermont and Syracuse.
Birtwistle trying to utilize one of the new rule changes in college lacrosse this year, which is what Gary Gate did when he was in college, the crease dive. But if you're going to do that, the ball needs to go in the net before you touch the crease. It did not, and for the second time, a crease violation.
Timeout. No score. Vermont and Syracuse. 6.5 to go in the first. Back in the Dome when we come back. Syracuse and Vermont back in 2021, the first ever meeting. It was dominated at the faceoff X.
A lot of scoring in this game, and yeah, Jacob Bob, Tommy Burke going at it. Burke won 24 of the faceoffs, and Vermont gave Syracuse all it could handle in this first matchup. Drake Porter was excellent, couldn't stop that shot. Does get his shoulder on this one. He had over 20 saves in this game, the most by a Syracuse goalie since 2007. And then, of course, Owen Hiltz had to get involved as well. Syracuse takes it by 4.
Gary Gate, that was before he became Syracuse's head coach, was still with the women's program. 24-34, you mentioned it, for Tommy Burke at the faceoff X. We haven't seen a faceoff since the opening one. No score. I mean, if this was on your bingo card, then I'm shocked.
What we have seen is great goalie play, though.
Right. Will Mark playing well. So is Matt Schaefer. 11 shots, no goals, and 8 turnovers combined for the first 8.5 minutes of this ball game. From X, the shot is blocked down. Will Mark again on the chase, the dive, and Carter Rice does not win it. Give it to Hayden Fruhling.
Nice hustle by the first-year player. Closterman with a nice dodge there. Bit of a crease dive of his own, but couldn't put the ball in the back of the net. If he went to his right hand there, he may have had the angle to score that instead of his left.
Falls down. Marsilio cashes in. Vermont on the board first.
Well, the Catamounts have been attacking Syracuse's short stick defensive middies a lot early on. Another crease dive. This time it's a goal. Vermont gets the first goal in this game. That was an excellent take. Going against Brandon Aviles, a former freshman All-American, and Marsilio coming from the D3 ranks and scoring the first goal of the season for the D1 team, Vermont Catamounts.
The only transfer for Vermont from Randolph-Macon. Dove and slotted it through. Marsilio played at Randolph-Macon in Ashland, Virginia, about an hour away from Charlottesville, where the Virginia Cavaliers play ball. A team that's number 1 in the preseason polls. For Marsilio, 57 games in his career, 6 starts, 64 goals. Now he's at the D3 ranks, and Vermont takes a 1-0 lead off his shot. Burke dives on it, he's pushed down. It'll go Vermont's way. So we're choosing giving Burke all his business, but Vermont really well oiled on those wings.
And that's why this team has been so good at the faceoffs. Yeah, you talk about Tommy Burke, a guy that's one of the best in the country, but the wings have just as important of a role on faceoffs and having a high percentage as a team. When Burke can't win it clean and set up the offense, you're going to rely on your wing players to come in, crash in, get position, call man ball, grab those ground balls, and maybe even draw those loose ball pushes like we just saw.
Vermont 6th and 4th nationally in face-off win percentage last year. That's a foul on Hunter. Syracuse takes it.
I believe that was a illegal screen, and that gives Syracuse possession. Nice check anyways by Syracuse defensively. But you got to clear the ball.
This is the intensity of game number 1 that you expect. Referee runs in, points Syracuse's way. Shot clock resets.
Now what Syracuse needs to do is get a nice long possession. It's been a lot of defense in this first quarter. Those guys are probably getting very tired. It's a pretty fresh unit aside from Nick Kikema, who returns from last year. Now can you work the ball around the horn, run one of your sets, and facilitate maybe somewhere other than from X?
Good come from Griffin Cook, down to Spallina. Schaefer challenges him. Open net, Spallina spins out of it. This is off to the right. Still free, and Syracuse loses it. It'll stay Syracuse's way because of the push. Down from Alex Simmons, the Denver transfer, sticking with it. Number 19 in white and orange.
Yeah, taking the brunt of that contact, drawing that infraction. Another nice move by Joey Spallina. That inside roll, he's loving that. Just hasn't had the ability to slot it in just yet.
Coach Gate on the sidelines, all-time leader in goals at Syracuse, but his team 9 minutes in, no goals. Cole Kurse, the Lehigh transfer with a long family lineage in lacrosse, misses high. 38 on the shot clock. Syracuse a couple shots on this possession, but again, still a goose egg on the scoreboard.
Nice pass on that shot from Kirst coming from Owen Hiltz. Not even in rhythm, not in step, but he has such strong wrists and great vision that he can make that pass, and it set up a near goal for the Bernardsville native.
Big BTV pass. Simmons to Kirst, transfer to transfer. What a pass and a great save! Schaefer standing on his head right now.
That's 2 big stops from Schaefer and 2 grade A chances for Syracuse offensively. Coach Gates said to expect the skip passes. We saw one there from Hiltz, but Schaefer standing up every Syracuse opportunity so far. That's why Vermont has the lead.
3rd save for Schaefer. Said it would be tough to fill the shoes of Ryan Cornell. Goalie was so integral in their success over the last 2 years. He's doing it so far.
Coach Fife said the last 2 goalies, including Cornell that Vermont's had, both could be pro players. So big shoes to fill. Schaefer's doing a great job so far.
Hunter loses it, gets it back to Closterman.
Another long possession for Vermont, already under 40 seconds.
Fennick tries his luck with the pull and throws it away under the stick of Hunter. A lot of turnovers. Yes, the goalies are playing well, but 5 turnovers for both teams.
Just got to settle down a little bit. You can't work 40 seconds off the shot clock and then give the ball back like that. You got to force Will Mark to make a save, and Vermont's done that, but they've also, at times, had those sloppy mistakes.
Coach Gate told us earlier in the week we want to try a new style of lacrosse, positionless offense. No middies, no attack, it's just offense and defense.
Well, there is one position. It's Spallina at X, but they invert here.
Yes, they do, and they put Finn Thomson, top 5 recruit in this past class, at X.
Coach Gates said he's got tremendous lax IQ and very slick, true box lacrosse player from Canada.
And when you say invert, you put a midi behind the goal and Spallina at attack in front of it.
Midi behind the goal with a short stick.
Oh, what a shot. It missed, but would have been impressive and was impressive anyway.
I say box lacrosse, and Owen Hiltz is everything that embodies box lacrosse with little plays like that.
Owen Hiltz, number 77 in orange and white, missed all of last season for suffering an upper body injury in a scrimmage against Michigan. Simmons, Syracuse still looking for goal number 1. 10 to shoot. They got to move quick. Simmons has to shoot it. Swim dodge, lost his footing. Hiltz just shot-putted it with his stick. This Vermont defense is suffocating right now.
On sides.
That's true, but Syracuse is also getting the shots it wants. A couple from point-blank range. Matt Schaefer's been making the saves, and it's really just as simple as not hitting the goal in the other situations. I think Pat March is pleased with how the offense has been facilitating and working the set so far, just not finishing.
Syracuse has missed its first 7 shots.
Couple of those missed, couple of those saved.
Yeah, Schaefer with 3 saves. Dodge on the shorty by Fennick. And then a pull picks him up, slashes it away. In transition for Saam Olexo. Had a couple goals last year and then loses it. Great job by Vermont getting back.
You got to move the ball there if you're Olexo. That's what coaches will work on in fast break drills. The LSM has to get the ball out of his stick quickly.
The whistle blows. Vermont in transition.
May have been an inadvertent whistle. The official pointed at his chest. Now he's pointing at a couple of Vermont players.
Hey, it's opening day for everyone.
Yes.
If it's an inadvertent whistle, it happens. Chris Fifes is definitely proud of his team right now, holding Syracuse scoreless. A team with 22 new players and a completely new identity, but it's looking a lot like last season.
It's been an excellent quarter for Vermont. Lots of build on heading into the second quarter.
6 seconds, 5. Closterman inside is poked away. Football pass right into the stick of Schaefer. Well, if you're a lacrosse fan, you probably didn't predict this. Gary Gates' squad, no goals in the first quarter. Vermont a 1-0 lead on opening day of the college lacrosse season inside the Dome. We'll be back after this. 1-0 Vermont after the first 15 of play because the goalie's just phenomenal.
3 saves for both goaltenders. That's a pretty small number, but the magnitude is very big. This is a tough one by Will Mark, working far post. Now Joey Spallina with an excellent inside move. He's had that move twice. Matt Schaefer has closed the door on both. And then Alex Simmons denied with a nice shot from the near side wing. Matt Schaefer, despite not playing a whole lot last year, in game number 1, his rehearsal looked excellent for Vermont.
Same with Will Mark. A preseason All-American in the honorable mention category, faced 4 shots, allowed just that 1 goal to Derek Marsilio, and that's the difference. Matt Schaefer, how about him? You talk about Vermont over the past couple of years allowing under 9 goals per contest last year. This year, a lot of uncertainty with Schaefer. Grad student, hadn't played a whole lot. He has been unbelievable.
5th in the nation last year in goals against average, and Cornell had a lot to do with that, the former goaltender for Vermont. The question mark for this team, I would say, was the goaltending play. But so far, that question has been answered, and the answer is Matt Schaefer.
Just our 3rd face-off between Burke and Rashuza. And it's won by Tommy Burke. Tommy Burke a couple of years ago against Syracuse, 24 of 34 against the All-American Jacob Fopp, and he's taking advantage against the Canisius transfer.
Well, I don't even know if we're going to have 24 face-offs in this game the way it's going. That was the 3rd one right there.
One at the start, one after the first goal, and that's it. Then that one. Marsilio, the only goal scorer today, at X with Hunter.
I've been impressed with the Catamounts offense so far. They've attacked from X with Closterman. Here he is right here. They've also attacked on goal line extended in the wings against the short stick middies like this situation.
Shorty on Closterman. He lofts it out to the far side. Denied by Mark. Oh, he has a lot of confidence. Said earlier in the year, he doesn't shy away from saying he wants to be the best goalie in the country.
Also a guy that plays with a chip on his shoulder. He loves being an underdog.
Long pull, ripper, and it's in! Saam Olexo gets the orange on the board in 2023.
4 goals last year for Saam Olexo. It takes him 1 quarter and 59 seconds to get his first of this season. He doesn't go to the bench. He stays in and launches a missile top right corner from 20 yards out.
Well, Mark likes it, doesn't he?
He's about 90 yards away, but he's put this team on his back in the first quarter, keeping it at a 1-0 game. And that's excellent to see from a long stick midi. I mentioned it in the first quarter. He loves to get involved with the offense. A lot of defensive guys have a tendency to just go right to the bench. No, Saam Olexo's staying in the game. He wants the ball, and he wants to take the big shot.
First goal for Saam Olexo since last April against Cornell. Again, the season last year ended in May. So Burke wins the faceoff. Again, the wing's a large part of that. And for Saam Olexo, started as a short stick defensive midi as a freshman, then transitioned back to his natural LSM role.
It's a good role for him. It is natural because one of the top ground ball guys last year, also a solid on-ball defender, and he'll give you plays like that as well.
Tie ball game, second quarter. Now it feels like a new game. A great shot, but denied by Mark. Might have hit off that post, too. It's going Syracuse's way. And the crowd starting to feel the intensity and the momentum switching toward SU. Crazy to say after just the first goal.
Another silly mistake there. Jonas Hunter in great position to just grab that loose ball, and instead he kicks it out of bounds. So that's the second or third time that Vermont has kind of shot itself in the foot with a sloppy mistake. Other than that, though, the offense has been very organized and very clean for the most part.
Vermont, during a 10-game winning streak last year, and winners of their final 7 regular season games, average margin of victory over 9 goals per contest. They like to score, but now one-on-one with the shorty. The spot for Griffin Cook, the veteran. And the flag flies. Syracuse will slow things down, knowing that if Vermont gains possession, they'll have a man up. Hiltz loses it.
Need this ground ball for Syracuse. Got it.
They get it. Carter Kepney.
It's a pretty late whistle there. Typically, Once the ball hits the ground at all, the play should be over and the penalty should be ensued.
Just stay low.
Green, 89, 1 minute, slash.
So a slash on Jack Fitch, the 6'3" junior from Boone, North Carolina.
So it was Griffin Cook dodging from X against Fitch. He kind of just settles and fakes a pass. Fitch didn't fall for it, though, but then he gets him with a little bit of a jab there, and that's unnecessary. A slash is the call, and now Syracuse has a chance with all the players, all the Canadians, all the box lacrosse guys to keep this ball hot and score a goal in the power play.
Coach Gates said earlier in the week, we're going to pass a lot. Expect that. Rifle of a pass there to Thomson.
We got some popcorn. Get it popping for this power play. It's fun to watch.
Inside of the goal. You saw that one coming, didn't you? Jackson Birtwistle on the board.
How funny is that? It's one of the guys that doesn't have a Canadian background. Jackson Birtwistle from Pennsylvania, just sitting on the doorstep. Excellent passing from Syracuse. That's Alex Simmons. No-look feed in between 3 Vermont defenders. Easy catch and finish for Birtwistle. That ball has to come out of his stick immediately. It did, and he locates the corner. Nothing you can do there if you're Matt Schaefer. And big for Syracuse, a team that was dead last in the ACC last year in the power play. 1 for 1 in 2023.
And John, we were talking about it earlier. 72 of 72 D1 team Syracuse on the power play. Jackson Birtwistle, that's his first goal, gives Syracuse the lead.
And that lives up to his scouting report, too. Known as an off-ball guy, known as a finisher. And it was on full display there in that episode.
That's not on the scouting report. Syracuse winning a faceoff for Birtwistle, a goal in 5 straight games dating back to last season. SU wins the faceoff. John, if you're Syracuse, seems like the momentum has shifted. What's your expectation here?
Well, I expect a longer possession. I think Syracuse should just keep the foot on the gas.
Well, Leo doesn't agree, and a behind-the-back shot just goes waywire. You want fireworks? Come watch Syracuse Lacrosse.
Well, I say slower because you want to avoid that mistake that now allows Vermont to regain some of that momentum and have the ball in the offensive end. The first quarter was all about the Catamounts. So far in the second, it's been all about Syracuse, and it's because of ball possession.
Finn Thomson rifles it in. Down 1-0, Syracuse has scored 3 straight.
Thomson, a top recruit coming into this year, known as a slick guy. And I'll tell you what, this was a pretty slick shot. Nobody saw this coming. Matt Schaefer didn't see this coming. Out of nowhere, unwinds, and just bullets it past Schaefer. Stick side high, doesn't matter. That's a whistler.
You got Colin Sharkey on him. His coach praised his ability to play one-on-one defense, and Thomson just put him in the ringer with that shot.
Do not put a shorty on Finn Thomson because he has crazy range. If that's a long pull there on him, he's not getting that shot off.
Face-off violation on Tommy Burke. You're talking about a player that was top 6 nationally in face-off win percentage last season, over 60%, and that's his first face-off violation.
Well, easy question here. What led to that last Syracuse goal? The Orange got possession by winning the face-off. They've done it again here.
Luke Roa, top 25 recruit. Whistler of a shot just misses for Cole Kurse, looking for his first goal in Orange after playing a majority of his career at Lehigh.
Love his game. He's got a big body, can kind of post up defenders and get his hands free for shots like that.
Spallina misses low. Stonewalled by Schaefer, and Matt Schaefer reintegrate his team into this game. 3-0 scoring run for Syracuse after they failed to score in the first quarter. 3 goals in the first 4.5 minutes of the second. That last one to Finn Thomson, number 23 in orange and white, former Michigan commit. A part of a crew of youth for SU in this defense, a lot of experience, and it's proving dividends in the second quarter. Thrown away to Huntley. Vermont is slowed down offensively. What do they need to do to get back on the score sheet?
They got to possess. They turned it over right there, and Syracuse nearly had a chance in transition. It seems like the offense has kind of stagnated lately.
That's 20 seconds. It's going Syracuse's way. You have to cross the midline before 20 seconds expires off the shot clock, and it read 59. It's 21 seconds in. Syracuse, and that's number 8 in turnovers for Vermont. Syracuse takes it. Jackson Birtwistle starts with it. He had the second goal that gave Syracuse the lead.
That was all about Owen Hiltz and Saam Olexo. Initially starting that ride on the far side, getting the ball on the carpet, and keeping the pressure dialed up.
Finn Thomson with the former Michigan commit, but then Gary Gait called him and he said, well, I can't pass up on an opportunity to play with one of the greatest, if not the greatest in the game.
Good find, too, because Thomson missed a season due to COVID. Actually missed 2 seasons because of the border restrictions, too.
Spallina, he wants his first goal. Well, Syracuse will win the chase anyway, but Joey Spallina seems shot after shot after shot. There's a lot of expectations on his shoulder. Number 1 recruit in the class, rocking the famed number 22 that was worn by the Powell brothers and Gary Gait. 3 missed shots for Joey Spallina, number 22.
So I wouldn't say he's had number 22-esque shots yet, but he's had number 22-esque moves and chances. And this place is just ready to erupt when he finally scores.
BTV pass. Thomson again, he wanted his second. Pat March, OC for the Qs, describes Finn Thomson as an above-the-cage player. Now to Spallina. Backing down, throwing it right into the chest plate of Schaefer. Joey Spallina, 4 shots, no goals for the number 1 recruit in this past class. Shot clock does reset back to 60. Birtwistle. Syracuse wondering why it's not their possession. Michael Leo looked to be closest to it, but it's going Vermont's way.
That's because of great hustle by a Vermont defender, winning the position. It's not about who's closest to the goal line. It's about who's closest to the ball when it goes out of bounds. And Vermont was in that situation, and it's because of Colby Coldbluff, who chased after that ball and beat Syracuse's attackers.
The LSM from Tampa, Florida. Vermont, 1 goal in the first quarter. Syracuse, 3 goals in the first 4.5 minutes of the second.
I was getting into this earlier. It seems like Vermont has kind of stagnated and forcing shots from long distance. I think they need to get back to waiting, hunting down the best matchup, finding that best shot against a short stick defensive midi. But it's going to be tough going because Syracuse loves its D middies this year, and it starts with this guy, 43 in white.
There's another shorty matchup. Closterman, expected to be the top goal scorer on Vermont, and he throws it too high for his running mate, Brock Haley. Another turnover for the Catamounts. That's number 8.
Just seems like they've lost that instigation, that aggression they had in the first quarter, where you're Syracuse, you have who playing defense, we don't care, we're going to attack you from everywhere. Now it seems like Closterman's having to run the whole show, and he's forcing passes, and the sloppy mistakes, there's another one, continue to rack up.
Vermont coach Chris Fifes told us earlier in the week that we're clearly the underdog. We're playing with house money. Right now, Syracuse playing with Vermont's money. Owen Hiltz missed all of last season after 48 points his freshman year, 8th most in program history for a single season.
He's got to double, got to move it.
Took off to the right.
That's a dangerous game if you're Vermont because Owen Hiltz, so skilled as a passer. If you send that double team, you send that slide, he's looking to get rid of the ball quickly, and that was a good opportunity there.
Spallina, good pass, but Hiltz passed it right into the big stick of Schaefer.
Not the best shot there. Stick side high, contested, stick in his grill. I think Syracuse is starting to force a little bit, where if they just simplify and settle down and wait for the best shot, it'd be better.
The long pull out, Vidi blocked down. And off that save by Will Mark, Alvidi still on the turf. Nick Alvidi, a captain. His coach said he's arguably our best player. This was a big hit.
It's Kakamo sliding, and then Clary comes in from the near side. Just gives him the business. Vermont bench wanted a call. He didn't expect that hit to come. Usually that slide comes from crease right in front rather than the wing like that. I think there could be a case for a penalty there.
Especially because Kakemo hit his stick from behind, a little trail check, and then it was just Clary coming out of nowhere. That was after the shot. And it's good to see Alvidi up on his feet.
They need him.
Was an all-conference first-teamer last year, part of an all-conference rookie team back in 2021. You're talking about a guy that his head coach Fife said can take the ball away from anyone. So important in the progression of Vermont over the last couple of years.
Stat sheet proves it. Led the America East in caused turnovers last year. And he also led the nation in goals by a long stick midi. We've already seen Saam Olexo score one. So if you love LSMs and you're a young LSM at home watching this game, watch these two guys, 48 in white, Saam Olexo, and Nick Alvidi, 77 in green.
Also, Alvidi got one of the best compliments you can give if you're a head coach for a guy with a long pole, saying he's pretty much Thomson, the freshman, BTB pass, the bouncer is true. And that's Syracuse Lacrosse at its finest. Alex Simmons, his first goal in orange.
Alex Simmons with the ball near side, gives it to Finn Thomson, the BTB feed. And then Simmons works his way in, bounces it off the earth and in. That's Canadian to Canadian, and that's the new Syracuse Lacrosse offense.
Johnny, Sam, happy opening day in the lacrosse world. 12 games going on today. Syracuse, part of a packed 1 o'clock slate. So if you're spending your Saturday afternoon with us, thank you for doing so. And a win by Johnny Rashuza. Over to Saam Olexo in the pull, trying for goal number 2. Gets his hands free. Nifty passing. Schaefer there again. It's like watching the ball on a string if you're watching Syracuse play lacrosse.
I mean, Gary Gate couldn't be more excited than he was when he was talking to us. Just hyping up this Syracuse offense, how fast it's going to be, how quick it's going to be, how innovative it's going to be. The behind-the-back passes, the quick feeds. It's been very exciting to watch. Hasn't necessarily shown up on the scoreboard yet to a certain extent, and that's really because of Matt Schaefer. But it's been very fun to watch, and the opportunities have been aplenty so far for Syracuse.
Syracuse in last year's opener, a 28-5 win over Holy Cross. You can bet your bottom dollar this game will be more exciting. It is so far. 4-1 in the second quarter.
That was lacrosse, right? Not football?
No, that was lacrosse, yes.
4 touchdowns?
With the extra points, of course. Marsilio, the only goal for Vermont. That's 25 behind the cage. Closterman, he's been kept quiet. The pole knocks it away.
Great check.
Great defense. Landon Clary, who we were told would play some long stick midi, some close defense. He starts on close defense and just dealt with the best player on Vermont offensively.
He got injured back in 2021 and played just a couple of games, missed that entire season, then kind of burst back on the scene last year with that top 10 assist to Tucker Dordovic that was on SportsCenter. I was wondering how he would look at close defense. He was solid at LSM. That's a really tough transition to make, going LSM to close defense. You're playing against very skilled players and attackers and not necessarily offensive midfielders. And that injury also happened against Vermont. So kind of a comeback game for Landon Clary. He's looked great so far at defense for Syracuse.
Clary played the final 9 games of last season at long stick midi. Hiltz one-on-one. Pole shoving him off. That's Canfield, the former first-teamer. Simmons just had the last goal. Tried to helicopter that one in.
Would you believe me if I told you that Alex Simmons and Owen Hiltz have never played together at the college level before this?
No, they already look like they gel. Sidewinder shot. It was way wire.
How about this, though? The two were teammates in high school at Culver Academy.
1 year?
Yep.
1 year. And it's Culver Military Academy. These are two guys that are very set in their ways, very regimented. Turnover on Syracuse. Joey Spallina fell out of play. Tried to argue with the referee. Vermont scored in the first quarter. Since then, they've been kept off the score sheet. SU on a 4-0 run in the second quarter. A tale of two quarters, you could say.
I'd say the story of this game, yeah, the offense looked great, but how about the defense, man? Really a big struggle last year for Syracuse defensively. 66 out of 72 teams in D1 lacrosse, allowing over 14 goals per game. The communication's been great, the slides have been very good, and really the on-ball defense has been suffocating as well. So very impressed with Coach Petromala's unit.
Fennec head of steam.
What's been interesting to me is that Closterman's supposed to be the X guy. He hasn't really been back there.
Haley and Will Mark right there for it again. The LIU transfer starts the break for the Cuse. Good intensity. Rosa falls to the turf. These fans don't like it.
And they want to push with possession there because Rosa had the ball, took a spill. The extended hands from a Vermont rider, and the Catamounts get it back just like that. Call or no call, if you're Rosa as a D-midi, you just got to get the ball up to the offense. There wasn't much of an opportunity there for a fast break.
Vermont calls timeout. Likely be the final possession of the half with SU up 4-1. Syracuse will be facing a gauntlet moving forward. The ACC standings, of course, only 5 teams in ACC lacrosse. The other 4, not including Syracuse, are all ranked 3 in the top 7. North Carolina, the only team outside of that, they're ranked number 17, but the prowess. You talk about Virginia, preseason number 1, Notre Dame, Duke. The ACC might have only 5 teams, but they're stacked.
It's the magnitude of like 10. It's unbelievable, man. Duke's got Brennan O'Neill back, All-American. Dyson Williams, number 1 in the nation last year in shooting percentage. New goalie for them, though, so a question mark there. Notre Dame's got the Kavanaugh brothers back. They combined for 97 points last year. Then Liam Ensenman, who ended Syracuse's season last year with a massive game, 22 saves against Syracuse, so he's back. And then UVA, I mean, who don't they bring?
Thomas McConvey, who was the leading goal scorer, had 60 goals for the Catamounts last season. He transfers for his final year of college to Virginia, and you add him to the Connor Schellenberger party and all of the above. UVA, preseason number 1, and for Syracuse, not in the preseason polls, which is shocking to say because this has been a program that, I mean, their name has had a ranking in front of it for what feels like forever. So far this season, Syracuse on opening day looking good. Chris Fife's crew is playing well.
It's going to be a tough slate, though.
Yeah, I mean, I talked about SU not being ranked. They've been ranked in 264 of 275 U.S. ILA polls that have been released since 2000. That's 11 of them they haven't been on. A majority last year when they finished 4-10. Final possession of the half. Behind the back shot goes nowhere near cage, and Vermont scoops it up. 15 seconds until the halftime break. SU on a 4-0 run. Fennec blockered off. 8 to play. Vermont has to move. Marsilio already has a goal. And he's stuck, lost in mud, and Dave Petromala's crew comes up clutch. Syracuse, after trailing 1-0 at the end of the first quarter, they score 4 unanswered in the second quarter. Stay with us. Johnny Godemowitz, Samantha Croston on the ACC Network Extra halftime report. It's all Syracuse in the Dome, scoring coming alive. Johnny Samantha, what a first half. 4-1 in favor of Syracuse, and Chris Fife's squad was up 1-0 at the end of the first quarter, and Syracuse goes on to score 4 unanswered. With John Eads, I'm Cameron Ezeir, watching Gary Gates' crew do something that he's wanted for the past year, right? After a 4-10 season, you want to come back, you want to prove your prowess, and they've done it so far. John, first half stats.
Well, it was all about Vermont in the first quarter, but then Syracuse really picked it up in the second. They had a lot of shots in that first quarter, Syracuse did. Most of them didn't find their way on goal. That was different in the second quarter. They continued to force Matt Schaefer to make saves. He did not do that necessarily in that second quarter. Something that's also interesting, Syracuse winning the face-off battle right now. We talk so much about Tommy Burke and how good he is. Gary Gate knew the kind of challenge his squad would face coming in, but it's the orange on top of the face-off X so far.
Tommy Burke last season, 6th nationally in face-off win percentage. He was under-recruited. A couple years ago, came in as a 17-year-old high school senior. He reclassified, went to Vermont. And last season, or a couple seasons ago when they played Syracuse, that was almost his coming-out party, 24 of 34 at the face-off X. Right now, it's Johnny Rachuza, the Canisius transfer for Syracuse, winning the face-off battle 4-3. Burke dominates that one. It's now 4-4. Vermont just 1 goal in the first half for the first time in nearly 4 years. Last time that happened was back in 2019 against Boston University.
I've been a little puzzled with the philosophy today from Vermont on the offensive side. David Closterman is your distributor. He's your quarterback. Was supposed to be an X. Instead, it's been more Jonas Hunter back there. He's standing behind the net right now. And the offense hasn't really been predicated on Closterman. There's been a lot of sloppy turnovers as well.
Well, there is Closterman, and he scores right out of the break.
Well, I guess he doesn't need to play at X Cam. He can score for the wing, too. Nice dodge. Closterman notices his defenders on the turf. That's Carter Rice. Gets inside, gets his hands free with a lefty ripper. That's really nice awareness by Hayden Fruhling, who's just a first-year player, and he sends it in stick side high over the stick of Will Mark. That's a save he typically makes, but no less. A lot of velocity on that shot from Closterman. That's why he scores.
First-team all-conference player last year, 17 multi-point games. He had 4 hat tricks. The Rookie of the Year back in 2019, and since then has just progressed and trended upward. Burke, another face-off win, then gets decked. Flags fly from all over the place. Burke gets up fine. Both sides just got clotheslined.
Now, when you look at this play on the box score, all you're going to see is a face-off win. But this is why Tommy Burke is one of the most heralded names nationwide, because he'll win those face-offs and set up penalty opportunities and power play chances by drawing penalties. Let's see what the official call is.
White 10, white 10. 1 to the head, full minute, full time.
Max Rosa on the sideline for a minute.
Just a little late, and then the cross-check. While Burke has possession, slides it over to Alvidi, takes the brunt of that contact, and sets up Vermont with a power play. Now, we talk about the Catamounts offensively. This is an area that they've really struggled with last year and tried to reinvent over the offseason through coaching changes and personnel changes.
Man-up scoring percentage, 27%. Out of 7 teams in the America East, they were 5th for a team that was top in their conference in scoring per game, points per game, whatever it may be. Really struggled in this department.
They brought in a guy, Danny Murphy, to run the offense and run the power play unit. And he said he's brought a lot of changes. Let's see if we can see him on display here.
Murphy at Tufts, his offense, 19 goals per contest. He did well in the power play, too. Off the crossbar and out of play. The shot clock resets to 60.
Fife said that Murphy doesn't necessarily have set plays, rather just sets, and allows his players to freelance and create their own offense, find the passing lanes with the 6 players in the field against Syracuse's 5.
It's loose, a turnover for Vermont. That's number 10, and then they get it right back.
Yeah, that was a very dangerous pass, trying to feed it through two Syracuse defenders, but Nick Kakemo got a stick on it.
The penalty killed, full strength for the Cuse.
I think that was kind of a force from Vermont. Short time on the power play, so you try to just find a pass quickly to find the best shot available. That wasn't necessarily it, though. And if you're Nick Kakemo there, you force the turnover, which he's so good at doing, you've got to just run to safety. Trying to walk the dog, step by a Vermont player, and he turns it over. That's why the Catamounts still have it here.
Hunter at X knocks down his defender, Caden Cole. Full strength, Syracuse kills the 1 minute illegal body check penalty on Max Rosa.
But now a long possession between that man-up opportunity, and now there's 30 seconds on the shot clock here.
Vermont already a goal in the early going of this third quarter. Massive hit by Aviles. Syracuse takes over. Full head of steam for Syracuse. Aviles passes it off. Now if you're Syracuse, you just killed a penalty, but you did allow a goal. What's the motive of this possession other than obviously finding the back of the net?
Well, first of all, reset, get all your players on the field. Avila is still out there, the short stick defensive midi. Was a two-way player in high school, was the midi of the year on Long Island, but more of a defensive player. I think he's trying to pick the right time. Here he goes now to set up Michael Leo for a dash. He's got a step here, too. Look out.
Leo, the freshman, pass it off. Good reset by the Catamounts on defense.
Well, that was well done. That's what you wanted if you were Syracuse. Leo with a couple of yards advantage there. Just couldn't find the open man. Syracuse couldn't set up that fast break. And like you said, well done by Vermont to reset.
Birtwistle, and it's denied. Schaefer his 10th save.
Well, they always teach you growing up when you're shooting, don't shoot at the goalie. Seems obvious, but that's why.
That's a turnover on Vermont. One of the best close defensemen on this team, Jackson Canfield, lost it off the pass from Schaefer. Now Syracuse is trying to get Saam Olexo off the field.
It's kind of been a running theme for Vermont as well. Typically in the offensive end in this game, not so much defensively, just those careless mistakes. And if you're a team that wants to win a game like this in the non-conference against a team the caliber of Syracuse, you can't make those mistakes.
Another big-time stop. Schaefer there. He starts the clear. Sharkey. He bowls over Luke Roa, another top recruit. That's number 8 in white and orange. Closterman, goal scorer in this third quarter to cut the deficit to 2. Ripper shot high. And now it's Will Mark trying to get his guys back into it.
Lapsing coverage there from Syracuse, and the last guy you want to be leaving open for a shot from 10 yards out is David Closterman.
Only 2 schools recruited Closterman. Didn't have a lot of eyeballs on him. Didn't really jump into the world of lacrosse, was a 3-sport athlete. Was the 4th leading scorer on the Catamounts last season. Ball loose on the turf.
Coach Fife's called him a scrawny kid out of Philly, and he's kind of had to evolve his game over the years.
Looked like the ball dissolved through his stick and went off the top of it, went out of play. His teams, a combined 24 turnovers.
That's the first game of the year. To a certain extent, you expect that, but some of these turnovers are things you would see in high school, not at the D1 collegiate level.
Spallina still at X, number 22. Worn by Gary Gate, he's in the rafters. Of course, the head coach of this team, Mikey Powell, who will have his jersey retired in a month or so. He's been rather quiet. This is Roa, top 30 recruit. The freshman looking for space. Simmons inside. Hiltz, BTB shot, misses low. 11th save for Matt Schaefer.
A $1 million shot, but $0 finish. Hiltz with a couple of BTBs in this game, but Schaefer's been up to all of them. Must be something about playing goalie on the right side of the field.
Will Mark had an unbelievable first half, only allowed 1 goal. Cook, 10 to shoot. He's got to move on a shorty, down goal line extended, off the post. Syracuse wins the chase, but only 5 to shoot. Now they're going to say it did hit the post. It didn't hit the back of the net, so it'll reset to 60. That was huge for the Orange.
That was Cole Kirst with the dive.
Backing down, Pogo sticks it off the earth. Joey Spallina, all he can do is just stare blankly into space. It's been a lot of shots, just no finishes for the top recruit this past year's class.
When you watch his highlight tape, that's one of his favorite moves. Working with his dominant hand, using his hips to back down his defender, box him out a little bit, and just find the angle for a shot. He's had the shots, just had to score them.
Turnover 14 for Vermont. Starts a push. Crowd rising to its feet. Cook. Alex Simmons, we're 19 in white and orange. Past 2 seasons, 90 combined points, 11 hat tricks. He has a goal today. He's playing on the far wing. This is Luke Roa. Kirst has a step. To Spallina. Back in front. Couple orange players collide. That'll be a crease violation. He stopped a easy clear for Vermont. That's what Coach Fifes is wondering. His arms outstretched.
Well, it's soccer. It's not soccer, excuse me. It's lacrosse. In soccer, that would be a play-on kind of situation. They don't do that in this sport, though. Cole Kirst and Griffin Cook colliding on the doorstep off the feed from X. If it was just one of those players and not both, somebody would have scored there because they were open right in front.
It's been a wild and wacky day. 4-2 in favor of Syracuse. Vermont scored the lone goal in the first quarter. Syracuse countered with 4 in the first 4.5 minutes of the second. Vermont then scored in the third, trying for another. It was Haley. Brock Haley's been quiet, the 6-foot senior from Ontario.
I think that was kind of a possession shot. Kind of off balance and awkward, and he's setting up Jonas Hunter to dodge from X.
Does just that and finds Twine. Vermont looked lifeless in the second quarter, but 2 quick goals in the third, and the Catamounts down by just 1.
Well, I mentioned it's a possession shot because Vermont simply wanted the better matchup. So it goes to Jonas Hunter. He burns Hayden Cole defensively and finds the corner. Vermont back within 1 midway through the third.
Joey Spallina for Syracuse, an attention grabber. That's why there's a fan base here. Yes, because Syracuse Lacrosse is what it is, but Joey Spallina down in Long Island did some great things in high school. Today, not so much.
It's his first game. Big expectations. You see the jersey number he's wearing, number 22. That comes with a lot of expectations. That's why it's up in the rafters with Gates' last name on it. I think the biggest thing for him is to just see a ball go in the net. He's had so many chances, some from point-blank range. He just hasn't scored. So I think he's starting to force things a little bit, and he's starting to waver in his confidence. He's taken on more of a distributor's role rather than an instigator's role, an attacker's role. So if he could just score 1, I think that'd be big for his confidence.
Burke, another face-off win. You expected that in the first half, but it was the Canisius transfer, Johnny Rachuza, that got the best of him. 4 face-off wins out of 7. But Burke's been dominant here in the third quarter.
Cam, that spells trouble for Syracuse because Vermont's had possession of the ball for a large majority of this third quarter. And now they're starting to play that Vermont's offense we saw last year, the one that led the American East Conference in goals per game. They're being patient. They're setting up matchups like we just saw in that Jonas Hunter goal off a possession shot. That was intentionally done to find the mismatch. And the mismatch was on Hayden Cole, 33 and white. Maybe they go back to it here.
Here's a shorty matchup. Closterman, good move. Inside Hunter again. 3 straight for Vermont out of the halftime break. Tie ball game.
And that is the matchup I just alluded to. Jonas Hunter against Hayden Cole. Cole's on top of the crease, on the mouth of the crease, waiting for the slide. He initially commits, then stops. It leaves Jonas Hunter wide open on the doorstep, and you cannot do that. Nothing you can do there if you're Will Mark. That was the one thing this defense needed to improve on last year to this year for Syracuse. Communication. And if you're a defender, you cannot half commit to a slide like that because you're serving no purpose. You're leaving your man wide open for an easy bang-bang goal like that.
Jonas Hunter only started one game last season, had only 7 goals, and I say only, he already has 2 today on opening day. Second multi-goal game of his career.
Also from around Lake Oswego, where Eric Dungy's from, former Syracuse quarterback.
A wing fake, trying to get it to Hiltz. Did it deflect off a Vermont pole? That's the question. It did not. Alex Simmons can't believe it. He's incensed. Vermont takes it, and a goal gives them their first lead since that first quarter.
Owen Hiltz couldn't believe it either, and he kind of sauntered to the sideline there rather than chasing down the ball. Gary Gate and Pat March having a discussion with the official about it. Just crazy, Cam, because Syracuse went into the halftime locker room with a 4-1 lead. All the momentum. They ended the first half with another defensive stop. And I think the big difference in the second half so far has come at that face-off X. Vermont's gotten the possessions from Tommy Burke, and they've been more efficient with the chances.
Haley, Vermont takes the lead.
Let's go!
Where did that come from? A slow bouncer, and Will Mark got caught up in his strings.
Brock Haley, someone that Vermont's head coach Chris Fife said is born to score goals. He beats Syracuse's best on-ball defender, Nick Kakemo, beats him topside, gets his right hand free, and finishes through the contact with a bouncer. That is unbelievable. He's called a goal-scoring assassin. That's why.
And Coach Fife said that to us. He said he is a tremendous IQ goal-scoring assassin. Burke, another face-off win, his 4th of the third quarter. Vermont on a 4-0 run, responding to Syracuse's same run in the second quarter.
This is why when people were talking about the narrative of Vermont being the underdog, Chris Fife's even said it himself, that Vermont's the underdog. I'm not so sure. With a face-off guy like Tommy Burke, this Vermont team can play with anybody, especially when guys like Jonas Hunter, David Closterman, and Brock Haley are playing good lacrosse like this.
Haley, another misses wide.
Really forcing Syracuse to communicate a lot better. Switching, screening, flaring out, getting open. It's been a clinic offensively by Vermont in this second half.
A lot of question marks surrounding Coach Gary Gate. His team looked nails in the second quarter. Hunter already with a goal. It's flung up. Batted down near the cage, and Mark is pursuing it.
Need this ground ball for Syracuse.
Only 20 to shoot. Closterman doubled, now down to 15. Shorty matchup for Marsilio. The D3 transfer, passes it off. 7 to shoot. Great stop. Mark stonewalls that shot. Shot clock resets back to 60. Vermont stays with it.
It's a big ground ball by Griffin Fennick, the guy that scored 10 goals last year as a first-line mid. He hasn't had much of an impact from a goal-scoring perspective so far, but that allows Vermont to keep possession. I'll tell you what, this Syracuse defense has to be tired. Vermont has had the ball for much of this third quarter.
Won all the face-offs in the third. Start up the offense. Rocket shot from Haley. And Brock Haley's coming alive. Getting more of those opportunities, and he's been open for a lot of them.
Well, he's open because he also creates for himself. We saw that in the last goal.
Mark battles that ball away. Stays with Vermont. And then Mark shoves down the Vermont player.
official was trying to grab his flag out of his pocket. That shouldn't be the scenario here. Instead, it's a loose ball push because Will Mark came out of his cage. And he called man. He definitely did. But he put the Vermont attacker on the ground, and that's a loose ball push. That's why Vermont keeps it here.
Tristan Whitaker took that hit.
That's what you're taught, though, growing up. You call man, means you take the man, your teammate takes the ball. That's what he did, but the contact must have been from a little bit behind rather than on the side or in front. If it's on the side or in front, that's a legal play.
Huntley with the shorty. Tried for the trickery. Fruhling attacks it. Basile. Sound like a broken record. Vermont still with possession.
Check that shot clock.
15 to shoot. One-on-one with the shorty.
This is the matchup you want if you're Vermont here.
Hunter 10 to shoot. Vermont on a 4-0 run. You got to shoot it. 4 seconds left. That whizzes by and Syracuse finally gets the ball. Down by 1. They haven't scored in the third quarter, much like the first.
It's a great stand. If Vermont scores a goal there, the Catamounts have all the momentum with now a 2-goal lead. Instead, Syracuse fights off what seemed like an eternity of an offensive onslaught for Vermont. Now is a chance on the offensive side to waste away perhaps the rest of this third quarter, get a long, extended possession, and potentially score this game. This defense needs a break.
A Catamount possession that lasted over 3 minutes. Michael Leo, highly touted freshman. Hasn't done that much today. He's been neutralized. Has the shorty matchup he wants. That's Colin Sharkey. Finn Thomson, another freshman, on the short stick. Gets it right back. Thompson inside. The ripper misses. Spallina backs it up. 28 to shoot. 42 seconds left in the third quarter. Shot clock, game clock differential at 14.
I like the two-man game between Alex Simmons and Finn Thomson.
Spallina fights Twine. Welcome to the era of the new 22. Joey Spallina introduces himself, and it's a tie ball game.
You see how fired up he was after that goal, too? This is so big for his confidence. Defenders late on the slide. That was Stone Jacobs. All Joey Spallina needs is a crevice. He gets that in his dominant hand and finally bangs one in past Matt Schaefer. He loves it.
501 points in high school, but that might have been his biggest moment of his life. His first point in collegiate lacrosse. 9 shots, and that one finds the back of the net. 5-5 game. Might have been a huge momentum shifter for Syracuse, too.
And again, him personally as well. He's had now 9 shots in this game. All of them have gone wayward or been stopped by Schaefer. That time he scores, and really the big difference is because there was a short stick on him rather than a long pull, so he had more space and the freedom to get that shot off much cleaner with more velocity and better placement, too, off the ground and in.
John Desko called Joey Spallina's mom at midnight and said, your son's wearing 22, and that's why. 9 seconds to play in the third quarter. Marsilio, wow! Will Mark is not human! And that ends the third.
And that will end your third period play with your score.
It's the game you want on opening day 1 of college lacrosse, and this one has some ferocity to it. 5-5 game. And we'll get you set for a tight fourth quarter in the Dome. Joey Spallina would have the goal to tie things up at 5, his first collegiate goal. What a wacky first 3 quarters. Vermont up 1-0, then Syracuse counters at home with 4 in the second. It looked to be 1-0 in the first, 4-0 Syracuse in the second, 4-0 Vermont in the third, but Joey Spallina throw a wrench in that in a 5-5 game.
It's a prize fight. Jabs, punches, it's going both ways.
Rachuza wins the faceoff. Quick pass, Simmons. Matt Schaefer's been something special for Vermont.
I mean, even if he's not getting his stick on the shots, he's putting his body in harm's way and has had several body saves. That was a very hard one. It landed in the front row on the far side of the field, just to give you an idea. That one certainly had 3 digits in terms of shot speed.
Simmons has that type of power. A Tewaaraton watch list member last year, went from midfield to attack. Last season, it paid dividends. It's with Dodge.
Somebody I want to see more from is Michael Leo. Gary Gate, talked about him quite a bit when we spoke to him earlier this week. Hasn't done much yet.
Poke checked away from Hiltz. Another player that hasn't done that much.
Gotta help here. There you go.
That's exactly what Hiltz does. Now he's double teamed. That control. Hiltz. Great pass, and the Spallina is denied. Second opportunity. That seemed like Spallina wanted that goal from the start of that possession.
Didn't have a great angle on the first look. Got it back. Second went a little wide, but Syracuse just gobbling up those rebounds. That was Alex Simmons who tried it behind the back, then around the world, and then he lost his angle, but kept the possession alive no less.
It's that pizzazz for SU. Great cross-crease pass. Syracuse the lead. Jackson Birtwistle is second.
And he scored both goals the exact same way. Just setting up camp. He's got his day kit. He's got his first aid kit. And he's sitting in front of the net waiting for the feed. How about this? Just cherry picking. Finn Thomson with a Canadian pass. And what that is a righty pass over his opposite shoulder right into the wheelhouse for Birtwistle. And a one-time finish into the cage.
Second goal for Birtwistle. You trace it back to last season. He had 13 goals in the final 4 games. Kept Syracuse at least relevant toward the end of the season when they lost 6 straight to close out the year. Rachuza won the first faceoff of the fourth quarter, but Burke gets him right back. Tommy Burke, he can run. Great trail check. Saam Olexo already on goal today, and that might have been a goal saver.
Put that on the highlight reel. Vaulted like he's Superman to dislodge that.
You do that back in your day? No. As a long stick minute?
Can't say I did. You know me, Cam. I can't jump.
Cursed. Stops goal line extended. Ball's on the turf. Fans boo in response. Avidi, another save! Will Markin, double digits. A lot of questions entering this game. You have a new goalie. You have a new face-off specialist. And both are doing what they're doing to give Syracuse a 6-5 lead right now.
And he
11 saves for Mark.
And that one may have been the most impressive because it came against Nick Galvidi, who led the nation in goals by a long stick midi last year. Good to see him back in the game as well. He went down earlier in this contest.
Flag flies. Free possession for Syracuse.
Spallina wants this.
The feed, it's free in the crease. Still there, Schaefer scoops it up. Vermont a penalty, Syracuse on the man up.
Might be on Jack Fitch again. That would be his second of the game. Delayed call too. Syracuse had the possession and just played it out.
Green 89. Green 89. 1 minute slash. 1 minute.
1 minute, you're on Jack Fitch. That's his second.
Jack Fitch. 1 minute before slashing.
And then Spallina was holding, just trying to set up the offense. He takes it to the far side. He likes this matchup against Fitch. And then you saw the contact there. That's the second time that's happened in this game. And Syracuse back on the man up. 1-for-1 already today.
Syracuse led 4-1 into second. BTB pass. Another stop. Schaefer goes low to deny that rifling shot.
See that pass from Finn Thomson, though? BTB feed, in rhythm, in step to Birtwistle. That's the shot you want, but that's the save you want if you're Vermont, and it's courtesy of Matt Schaefer again.
That's 15 saves for Schaefer. A player, 67 total minutes in 12 career games. After this one, he'll have played the full 60 and up to 15 saves. He only had 5 last year. He's thrust into a more augmented role. And he's come to play.
Well, Chris Fife said that it was still a battle between him and the other players on the bench fighting for his job. But the way he's played today, this is Matt Schaefer's job. There is no debate whatsoever.
Vermont penalty is released.
The penalty release, so Vermont burns it. That's why they were holding it. Right at that restraining line.
And if you're Syracuse there, yeah, you didn't really have many opportunities. It was a one-and-done possession, but that was an excellent look for Birtwistle. Just couldn't finish.
9 to shoot. Hunter. To Haley. See if he realizes it. Closterman with 3. He doesn't know. Shot clock violation. Syracuse's way.
That's happened a couple times in this game. Low time on the shot clock, and Vermont just forgets what it's doing, it seems like. They've settled to just throw it out of bounds a couple of times. They've just had the actual violations a few times. Got to be better in the late second situations.
Syracuse has 7 seconds to get it across. Make it 5. Does Rowan notice? He does. Throws it into the trees, and a pull picks it up. Good anticipation by Danny Manning, realizing that Spallina was there, trying to complete a trail check.
That's the moment that every attackman dreams of, the chance to just whack a stick like that, like a sledgehammer.
You're speaking from personal experience.
I am, because it usually happened to me. I wasn't the one doing it.
It's like you know it's right in front of your face, and you have every opportunity, but you have to time it just right.
Well, you hear a lot of noise, and you see the green grass. You're like, oh, everyone's cheering for me. I'm going to run this thing. But then, nope, the ball's out of your stick, and your stick's probably out of your hands, too.
Good double, wide open shot. Another one. And SU wins the chase. Will Mark, simply incredible.
Nice look, 10 yards out. Brock Haley off the right leg of Will Mark. So he'll use his stick. He's got incredible range, but he'll also use his body to make stops. He's got some big legs. He's a big guy. He takes up a lot of the goal. And that was a nice kick save there.
John, 6'3", 205. That's his 12th save. It looked like he took it in the knee, and he's walking off just fine. Leo tries for Cage. Spallina on the chase. And give the win to Nick Alvidi, the captain.
That's why he's a captain.
When Coach Fifes told us earlier in the week, Alvidi is arguably our best player, I was looking down the stat sheet and saying you have Closterman.
Yeah.
He had over 50 points in the regular season. You have other players like Brock Haley, 5th leading scorer, and you're giving it to a long stick midi. It makes sense watching today.
Well, you pull out a dictionary, and long stick midi's probably not in there. I haven't checked before. But if it is, Nick Alvidi's the definition. The guy does it all.
That we need to check. 6'5" Syracuse, under 9 to play. A lot of running from James Basile. 2 straight for the Cuse. Vermont trying to respond. Good passing.
Better slide, though.
Syracuse comes up with it momentarily. Now Mark has it.
Numbers here for Syracuse. They want to push.
14 for 20 on the clear for SU.
That's honestly not a very high number. Like, when you're clearing, you want to be above at least 85%. 14 for 20 is not very good. But it's really a credit to both Vermont's ride, but also Syracuse having some sloppy passes and having those clears stall at the midfield.
Syracuse an opener since 1980. That was the inauguration of the Dome when it first opened. 27-3 in home openers. Under Gary Gate, well, Gary Gate himself is 15-0. He was 14-0 with the women's team, and then they won last year. Trying to improve that record. Cook to Hiltz. Amazing catch, and slides it in. Welcome back, Owen Hiltz. His first goal in 2 years.
You even give Owen Hiltz an inch of space, he will make you pay. That's exactly what happened on this last goal. Vermont hesitates defensively. Miscommunication. Owen Hiltz says, thank you very much. I will locate that bottom left corner. Syracuse up 2, 7 to go in the fourth.
Syracuse leads by 2. Gary Gate on the left, Chris Fife's on the right. Fife's a Maryland guy, and then was a former assistant coach in North Carolina, won the national championship in 2016. Gary Gate's still looking for that elusive title as a coach. Of course, he won 3 straight as a player in the late 80s. With this Syracuse team, after he switched over from the women's side, took them to a national championship, they lost to Boston College. Now on the men's side, trying to bring the program back from what was an abysmal season last year. And Vermont looking for its first ACC win over the last 12 seasons. Rachuza the faceoff win. How about Johnny Rachuza? Last year against Tommy Burke, when Rachuza was with Canisius and Burke still with Vermont, Burke chased Rachuza out of the game. Rachuza went 3 for 11 from the faceoff X, and Burke would challenge him and other faceoff specialists going 17 of 20. But today, Rachuza holding his own.
Won over 50% of his draws at Canisius and was a recommendation from TD Erlin, Syracuse's faceoff coach. So whenever TD's recommending a guy, you know he's got to be pretty darn good.
TD Erlin, one of the best, if not the best, face-off specialists. The pass inside, it's beautiful, but a better save rolling around the crease. Schaefer, a push right inside of the crease, so will stay with Syracuse. So Schaefer the save. Credit him with that off that great pass by Spallina and the missed shot low. Syracuse keeps a possession that it'll pay dividends moving forward. You have 6:22 on the clock, 60 seconds back on the shot clock, and this is very reminiscent of when Vermont had a 3-minute possession last quarter.
It's a tough mistake, too, because Schaefer makes the save, then a loose ball push right in front of the crease. That's why Syracuse keeps the possession here. Chance to drain the clock, but also chance to go up 3. And this is a game, obviously, if you're looking at the scoreboard, you see it, hasn't been predicated on offense necessarily.
Spallina backing down. Unbelievable sidewinder shot misses. Another BTB no. Vermont wins the chase. That is what was advertised with Syracuse. A lot of Canadians on this roster. They like to play a condensed game, which means a lot of trickery. And Finn Thomson was oh so close to his second goal on a BTB.
And some people at home might say, what's with the fancy stuff? Just put the ball in the net. But when you go behind the back like that, if you're Finn Thomson, you increase the angle of your shot. So it looks like it's fancy and it's over the top and it's unnecessary, but that actually gives you a better chance to score than if you were to just shoot it with your right hand in front of your body. Now, if you're going to do that, you got to have the backup, and you got to have the backup in the right position to win that chase and keep possession. Syracuse didn't.
Fruhling. The shot clock draining away halfway through this possession. Closterman to Fruhling, double teamed. You got a pull and a shorty there. Somehow Vermont gets away, but the ball loose. Under 5 minutes to play, Syracuse up 2 and with possession.
How about that play? Fruhling attracted 3 Syracuse defenders. Nick Kakemo came in and just delivered a blow that was legal, and it affected that pass, and it gives Syracuse possession. Now, if you're Vermont, you got to catch and pass there. Carter Rice was behind by a step, but instead, Fruhling couldn't handle the pass. That put him behind. That ruined that set, that 2-man game, and it allows Syracuse to reset defensively, find its slides, and force the turnover.
Kempney, the freshman we haven't mentioned, playing on the second line of the midfield. Attended high school in Carthage, where all 3 Powell brothers went. Legendary All-Americans at Syracuse. Hiltz around a screener, gets free, then throws it wide. SU closest to it, under 30 seconds on the shot clock. Cuse led 4-1 at the half after scoring 4 unanswered in the second quarter. They've come all the way back, down 5-4. They've scored 3 straight. Spallina, poor angle. Syracuse there.
Poor angle, and I'd argue it's a poor shot. Danny Manning all up in his grill, and that just had no chance to go on goal. Stick side high.
12th shot for Spallina. Simmons tries his luck, gets past his defender. And Spallina bowls over Schaefer. Shot clock violation. It was dwindling down anyway. And now a concern for Matt Schaefer. Exited his crease and was met by Joey Spallina.
He's back up under his own power, though. Waves the official away. Says, I'm good. Let's play. But still, Syracuse really worked a lot of clock there. So you don't score the goal, but now we're down to about 3 minutes, and that forces a timeout.
Timeout for Vermont. They'll have 1 left in the last 3 minutes and 12 seconds. Down by 2. Vermont challenging SU. That was a big topic of conversation. This wasn't going to be a pushover game.
Oh, no.
And that's not going to be the case for Syracuse the rest of the season. 8 of SU's 13 foes are ranked in the Inside Lacrosse's preseason polls. You got Maryland, the defending champion. Then you got ranked Carolina, ranked Duke. I mean, the rankings just go on and on. The next 7 games for the Orange against ranked opponents. Now, that's not including the next game against UAlbany, and you have a few in there against
Don't skip over UAlbany.
No, another America East team that could prove some trouble for SU. But looking at the ranked opponents, you have preseason number 1, who just made the national championship and lost. You have Maryland, the defending national champion. You have Princeton in a stacked Ivy League. This is no joke for Syracuse.
So it's going to be important for Syracuse to take care of business in the non-conference, beat Vermont here, beat UAlbany next. Can't skip over the Great Danes. They beat Syracuse last year. And you got to do better than 1-5 in the ACC. That's what SU did last season. I think they need to get 2-3 wins in the conference. It's going to be tough because 5 teams in the conference, they're all above average. But if you want to contend for postseason play, you're going to have to beat North Carolina, and you're going to have to beat a team like Duke. Virginia, Notre Dame, those tests are a little bit stiffer, but those are 2 teams you have to beat if you want to contend for postseason play.
Now, the problem is you lose a couple in a row, and it can spiral out of control like last season.
That's right.
Lost 3 straight opening up the season, and then lost 6 straight closing out the season. That's just 2 of their 16 losing streaks over the last 40 seasons. Playing tough competition, last year a 4-10 year.
Can I hit the asterisk button, though? I'll do that in a second.
Syracuse takes the charge.
First of all, that's a tough turnover for Vermont. You call timeout, you pull out the whiteboard, you drop a play, and you can't even run it because of that. Nice contact by Carter Rice, too, running it down the field for Syracuse. But last year, a 1-goal loss to North Carolina in Chapel Hill came down to the final seconds, and Chris Gray put the final nail in the coffin. And then a 1-goal loss to Cornell as well in this building in overtime. Yeah, you end the season on a ranked Cornell, top 5.
Memorial Day weekend.
Yeah, you lose 6 straight to end the season, but some of those games are really close. I think Syracuse found its footing late. Now can they carry that over with some new players into this season? They have so far. This would be a big win for this team.
You could say the same about Vermont. In 5 of their losses by 2 goals or fewer.
That's the thing. They want to set themselves up in better position come May, come postseason play, to not have to play a Maryland in the NCAA tournament, not to play a 1 seed. To do that, you got to win your non-conference matchups, and this is one right here.
Down by 2 are the Catamounts. Spallina looking for a feed. 22 is blocked away. Schaefer there. That could have been the nail in the coffin, and it's still loose until Schaefer grabs it.
Got to go. Fast break.
Minute 45 to go. Almost a must-score possession. And it's out of the reach of David Closterman, and that's been the day for Vermont. That's turnover number 21.
He was watching the highlight before it became a highlight. He knew what he was going to do with the ball once he caught it and shot it. The problem? He didn't catch the ball. That's a 4-on-3 fast break. You rep that hundreds of times in the offseason, in the preseason, and you need to score that goal. That's basic fundamental passing and catching.
Syracuse turns it over. At this point, the shot clock can pretty much be turned off, even with the game clock.
Timeout.
Timeout by Coach Fifes. The last for Vermont. For Vermont, down by 2. Upcoming schedule for the Catamounts, a team picked first in the America East preseason polls for the second straight season. You got Boston University. That's your first home game, but that's against a ranked opponent. We talked about the Ivy League and how stacked they are. You got Brown and Harvard on the schedule. At Utah, the Utes beat the Catamounts last season. And UMass, another one of those teams that beat the Catamounts by at least 2 goals, or by at most 2 goals.
Yeah.
Right.
But you talk about that Utah and UMass game from last year. The combined deficit in those two was 3 goals. And that's what Coach Fifes wants to improve this year. He wants to take down some of those non-conference teams and stop losing those close games. A couple of, you get the Ivy League matchup with Brown, another one with Harvard. Those are games that Vermont has to win. The vibe in the locker room for the Catamounts is they expect to win the America East every year. They've done it 2 straight years. Now the next challenge, the next hurdle is to win those non-conference games. So again, they set themselves up for better position and more success come postseason play.
Inside the huddle, the Syracuse orange. Look at those helmets. Got out of the orange on the side, the S on the other one. At this point in the game, probably doesn't matter, but let's get my soapbox a little bit. Syracuse, a lot of those players freshmen. Got a couple transfers, 22 new players. Saam Olexo kicked off the scoring for SU. But it's really been the defense that has been the leader, whether it be the defensive inspiration of Dave Petramala or Gary Gayden, how smart he is on the offensive side and just in the game of lacrosse. They've outdone Chris Fife so far. Minutes of play. Q's up 2.
Got to go quick, obviously, if you're Vermont. So find a matchup you like and attack.
Haley to Closterman. Only 1 goal today.
This is the matchup right here.
On a pull. Hunter trying to dodge. A Syracuse player loses his stick. And another save by Mark. It's still free, and then it's whistled wide. And Closterman's down.
He was grabbing for his left leg, I believe his hamstring, and now he's stretching it out a little bit. I mean, he's the team captain. You know he's going to do everything he can to finish this game. But Will Mark, another big save, going opposite post, non-stick side, getting over to make that save. I'm sorry, but the goalies Syracuse had in there last year are not making that save. Will Mark is making that save. He's done it the entire game.
And you just wondered, how would Mark progress? He was playing against competition that was much lesser than teams that win conference championships. And so far, so good. 13 saves, and he's doing everything that Coach Gate has asked him to do.
I'll say this, though. There was a penalty on that play. So now Vermont has a man up, 32 seconds left. I'm not sure if that was releasable or unreleasable. I think they just said 1 minute. Now, if it's non-releasable, that's big, because if you score an early goal, you're still on the man up after the goal. And it's a 3-on-2 at the face-off. It's because you've got that extra man. So Vermont can cash in twice here and potentially force overtime. So it's going to be on Will Mark and this Syracuse defense to get the first save, force that turnover, and waste away the rest of this clock. Not getting out easy.
So it's actually on Nick Kakamo slashing. What is Coach Petramala telling his defense?
Nothing easy. Don't allow a crease dunk. Force Vermont to score from the outside, because Syracuse has allowed 5 goals in this game because Will Mark is stopping those shots. So don't be too over-aggressive. Do not have a lapse in communication on the crease. Always have stick on whoever's in the hub there, and force Vermont to cash in on that step down from 15 or so yards out.
Syracuse has won 67 straight, dating back to 2012, when they allow 10 or fewer goals. Right now they're in a shootout. They have under 10, but Vermont 2 fewer. It's 7-5. Syracuse on a 3-0 run after trailing 5-4. Man up for Vermont. See what they have in the toolkit. Closterman, no.
They had a hidden ball trick in that toolkit. Well done, too. Set up Closterman wide open for a shot. That's got to be on goal.
Harrison Josloff in the game, number 19 and near goal line extended. Haley to Hunter.
Tick, tick, tick.
15 to play. The clock dwindling down, only 11 seconds to play. That separates Syracuse from an opening day win.
Timeout here.
Before then, a timeout by Syracuse.
Needed it too, Cam, because Billy DeJuan was running off the field. He didn't have a stick. So it was a two-man up situation for Vermont, and Coach Petramala needed to call that timeout, or else that's almost a guaranteed goal for the Catamounts.
And Billy DeJuan has a lot of ties within the lacrosse world. His dad, Bill, actually played with Dave Petramala at Johns Hopkins for 2 seasons. DeJuan, the freshman, a top recruit. And then they coached together. Petramala, coach at Hopkins for 20 years. The associate head coach was Bill DeJuan. They won 2 national championships together, 2005 and 2007. And DeJuan's goal was to go to Hopkins through and through. He has an uncle that coaches at Loyola. And when both Petramala and DeJuan were released from that Hopkins program, well, DeJuan, he actually veered off the beaten path and didn't go with his family to make his recruitment. Instead, he went over to Syracuse because of the relationship with Coach Petramala, and he's playing on the man-down unit. Also with DeJuan, he has 4 family members that have played lacrosse, a combined 11 All-American nods. You want a guy with family lineage?
Yeah.
That's what Billy DeJuan has.
And it's important for him to see the field early in any capacity. So being on the man down, certainly something that you can hang your hat on if you're a freshman. He's got good size, too. 6'4", 210. You want those long arms and that big wingspan of the man down defense to force shots. Bad shots, I guess.
The clock shifted to 10.6. Need a quick shot. They get it. Good deflection. And that'll most likely end it. 2.7 to play.
Guess who that was? That was Billy.
Billy DeJuan got his one shining moment out at the end of this ball game. Shot that goes nowhere, and Syracuse takes down Vermont to win the season opener. 7-5 in favor of the Cuse. Now SU 28-3 in dome openers, and they send this dome crowd home happy. 929 program wins. That's second most all time, just trailing Johns Hopkins.
Well, in the first matchup back in 2021, Cam, we had 30 combined goals. Today, we had 29 combined saves. It was much more about defense today, and Syracuse did a much better job on the defensive end. A big season-opening win for the Orange. This is a great way to kickstart a 2023 season that Syracuse is trying to reinvent itself in.
Will Mark the hero, 13 saves, a 72% save rate, and we say goodbye from the Dome. Syracuse takes down Vermont for the second time in program history in 2 tries. 7-5 the score. For our producer, Kristen Hennessy, and our statistician, Ian Nicholas, is John Eads. I'm Cameron Ezeir, saying so long. Pump those fists, Orange fans. You're 1-0 in the early going.